did not find my way here by my own direction. I did not choose this road by wisdom or intention. Something older than my search, something deeper than my need, reached into the ordinary and quietly called to me. And I did not understand it, I just felt the pulling, like a tide that has no name, drawing me to something real. Drawn, not by my own longing, drawn, not by anything I did, drawn by a love that moved before me, found me in the middle of a life I almost missed. I was drawn, gently drawn to you. I have talked to many people who all tell a different story of the moment something shifted in the ordinary hours. Some were in a crisis, some were in the quiet, some were not even looking when the looking found them there. And none of them could name it, none of them could plan it, just the undeniable of being found by love. Drawn, not by my longing, drawn, drawn, not by anything I did, drawn, drawn, by a love that moved before me, found me in the middle of a life I almost missed. I was drawn, gently drawn to you. No man can come to me except the Father draw him. And I think about the morning he decided it was time. Not because I was deserving, not because I was ready, but because the love that set the stars in place decided I was worth the drawing, worth the finding, worth the coming all this way. By my own longing, drawn, drawn, not by anything I did, drawn, drawn, by a love that moved before me, found me in the middle of a life I almost missed. I was drawn, gently drawn to you. Drawn, always drawn, only you. spent so many years performing for the watching, showing only what I thought was safe enough to see, keeping certain rooms locked up inside the house of who I am, not knowing someone already had been through every one of them. And the strangest thing about it was not feeling exposed, but feeling something close to relief at being seen completely. No, before I said a word, no, before the thought was heard, no, in the rising and the sitting, in the going and the coming, in the parts I show the world and the parts I hide from everyone, I am known, completely known by you. There is a loneliness that lives in being only partly seen, and showing just the surface of a much more complicated thing. I have sat across from people who thought they knew me well, and felt the quiet distance of the things I could not tell. But there is nowhere I can go, there is nothing I can hide from the one who knew me long before I came to be. No, no, before I said a word, no, before the thought was heard, known in the rising and the sitting, in the going and the coming, in the parts I show the world and the parts I hide from everyone, I am known, completely known by you. Oh Lord, thou hast searched me and known me, thou knowest my down sitting and mine uprising. Thou understandest my thought afar off, and I have nowhere left to hide, and I find that I do not want to, because being known by you is the only thing that feels like home. No, no, before I said a word, no, before the thought was heard, known in the rising and the sitting, in the going and the coming, in the parts I show the world and the parts I hide from everyone, I am known, completely known, completely known, nothing hidden, nothing missing, fully known by you, by you. I carried it for years, the thing I never named out loud, the wound that had an address but never had a crowd. I got good at the performance of a life that looked alright, keeping all the breaking hidden somewhere out of sight. But There is only so long you can hold a thing together before the whole in itself becomes the heaviest part. Heal, not the way I thought it would happen. Heal, not in a moment, not in a rush. Heal in the slow and quiet tending of a love that never tired of the places others would not touch. I am here, being healed by you. I met a woman once who said she had been broken in a way she thought could not be put back right. She said the healing came in layers, like the turning of a season. She said she woke up one spring morning and the weight had lifted overnight. And she said it was not magic and it was not instantaneous. It was the faithfulness of something that stayed present through it all. The way I thought it would happen. Healed, not in a moment, not in a rush. Healed in the slow and quiet tending of a love that never tired of the places others would not touch. I am healed, being healed by you. He was wounded for our transgressions, he was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him, and with his stripes we are healed. Not someday, not eventually. The word is present, the word is now. We are healed, we are already healed. We are held in the healing. Healed, not the way I thought it would happen. Healed, not in a moment, not in a rush. Healed in the slow and quiet tending of a love that never tired of the places others would not touch. I am healed, being healed by you. In the layers, in the tending, in the staying, healed by you. Always healed. I have sat at tables that could not feed the deepest hunger. I have drunk from wells that left me thirsty by the morning. I have built my shelter out of things that could not hold the weather. and wondered in the ruins why I always came up short. There is a kind of poverty that has nothing to do with money, a hollow in the chest that the world keeps trying to fill with noise, with more, with everything except the one thing that was always enough. And I remember the morning I stopped reaching for the other things and turned to find it had been here the whole time. Enough. The Lord is my shepherd, and that means I shall not want. Enough. Not almost enough, not enough for, but enough for the morning and the midnight, for the hunger and the hollow, for the places in me nobody else has found. He is enough. He has always been more than enough. I know a man who had everything, the kind of everything that looks like enough from the outside, beautiful and full and enviable. He told me late one evening over coffee going cold that the more he had acquired, the louder grew the empty, and something in that emptiness led him somewhere he least expected, to a stillness and a fullness he had never known before. And he said, I spent my whole life looking for enough in all the places. Enough was never gonna live. I remember the morning he stopped reaching for the other things and turned to find it had been there the whole time. Enough. The Lord is my shepherd, and that means I shall not want. Enough. Not almost enough, not enough for, not enough for the morning and the midnight, for the hunger and the hollow, for the places in me nobody else has found. He is enough. He has always been more than enough. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. 4 words carrying the weight of every human longing ever spoken. I shall not want. For peace I shall not want. For purpose I shall not want. For love I shall not want. For belonging, the God who counts the stars by name looks at the hollow in my chest and says, I am enough. I was always enough. I will always be enough for you. Enough. The Lord is my shepherd, and that means I shall not want. Enough. Not almost enough, not enough for, not enough for the morning and the midnight, for the hunger and the hollow, for the places in me nobody else has found. He is enough. He has always been more than enough. Enough. Just are seasons that feel like burning, when everything you built turns to ash in your hands, and you stand in the middle of the losing, wondering if anything was ever meant to stand. I have been in that fire, not once but more than once, and every time I entered I was certain I was done. But every single time, without exception, without condition, without anything I did to earn it, I came out the other side, and I was not alone in there. And the one who walked beside me through the heat and through the breaking had the marks of someone who had been through fire before. Through the fire, he was there. Through the water, through the deep despair, when the flames were all around me and I could not see the way, Jesus walked beside me in the middle of the blaze. Through the fire, I was never through the fire alone. I remember sitting in a hospital at 2 in the morning, holding someone else's hand because mine were not enough. And the room was very quiet, and the fear was very present, and I whispered something that was less a prayer than a plea, and something in that whisper found its way to something ancient, and the room felt different in a way I cannot name, except to say we were not the only ones in that room that night. And the one who filled that silence was not a feeling or a concept, but a person with a name who had walked through death and lived. Through the fire, he was there. Through the water, through the deep despair, when the flames were all around me and I could not see the way, Jesus walked beside me in the middle of the blaze. Through the fire, I was never through the fire alone. Fear not, for I have redeemed thee. I have called thee by thy name. Thou art mine when thou passest through the waters. I will be with thee when thou walkest through the fire. Thou shalt not be burned, because the one who speaks these words is not a distant promise. He is Jesus, who walked into his own fire, so that ours would never consume us. Through the fire, that came with an expiration that lasted while the seasons were convenient and kind. I have known the love that left when the leaving was the easier thing, that only stayed for as long as staying cost nothing. And then I met a love that had no terms, no conditions, no fine print at the bottom of a promise it intended to eventually break. A love that looked at everything I was and everything I was not and said, I am staying, I am staying, I am staying. And the name of that love is not an idea, not a feeling, not a philosophy. The name of that love is Jesus. Remain. He says remain. Remain. And I will remain. Remain. And I will remain in thee. The love of Jesus is not a season. It is not a sometime. It is not a love that checks the weather before it decides to stay. Remain, just remain in the love that never walks away. Think about the night he knew what was coming, the betrayal, the denial, the abandonment of everyone he loved. And he sat at that table and he washed their feet anyway, and he looked at the one who would hand him over and loved him anyway. That is not a human kind of love. That is not something we manufacture on our own. That is a love that comes from somewhere deeper than anything we have ever known. And he offers that love not to the deserving, not to the ones who have it all together. He offers it to us exactly as we are right now, tonight. Remain. He says remain. Remain. And I will remain in thee. And I will remain in thee. The love of Jesus is not a season. It is not a sometime. It is not a love that checks the weather before it decides to stay. Remain, just remain in the love that never walks away. Ooh, as the Father hath loved me, so have I loved you. And that is the most staggering sentence ever spoken, because the Father's love for the Son is infinite, eternal, without measure, without beginning, without end. And Jesus looks at us, broken and beautiful, hiding and hoping, and says, that is how I love you. That is how I love you. Remain in it, remain in me, remain. Jesus is not a season.
The love of Jesus
It's not a sometime.
It's not a season.
It's not a love that checks the weather before it decides to stay, babe. Just remain in the love that never walks away.
Remain
in the love of Jesus. Just remain forever. Remain. There are mornings I wake up already coming apart at the edges, before the day has had the chance to give me any reason. Just the weight of being human in a world that asks too much, the accumulated pressure of 1,000 unnamed things. And I have learned that the bravest thing is not pretending I am fine, but admitting to the one who already knows that I am held together by something other than myself. And every time I come undone, every time the edges fray, something catches what is fallen before it hits the ground. Held together not by my own strength, held together not by anything I've built, held together by a love that bears the burden of everything I cast before I even knew I could. Held together, Jesus holding everything together in me. I watched my sister go through something that should have broken her completely. 3 years of loss arriving one after another, like waves that did not wait for the shore to recover. And I watched her, not from a distance, but from right beside her. And what I saw was not a woman who had it all together. What I saw was a woman who knew where to put what she could not carry, and came back every morning, still standing, still breathing, still casting. And every time she came undone, every time the edges frayed, something caught what was falling before it hit the ground. Held together not by her own strength, held together not by anything she built, held together by a love that bears the burden of everything she cast before she even knew she could. Held together, Jesus holding everything together in her. Cast thy burden upon the Lord, and he shall sustain thee. Not carry it for a season, not help a little sustain. The word be stronger than you are. Jesus does not ask us to be held together before we come to Him. He holds us together as we come. Cast it, all of it, every fraying edge, every unnamed weight. Cast it and be held together, not by my own strength, held together not by anything I built, held together by a love that bears the burden of everything I cast before I even knew I could. Held together, Jesus holding everything together. In me, I have looked for something perfect in the imperfect arms of people who were doing their best with what they had. I have poured myself into places that could hold some of me, but never all of me, never the deepest parts. There is a shape to human longing that nothing human fits exactly, a hollow carved so carefully it could only have been made for one. And I spent years trying to fill it with everything except the only one who was ever the right shape. And then I found him, or he found me, and everything I thought was close enough was suddenly nothing close at all. Redeemed by the only one who could redeem, not by silver, not by gold, not by the best that any human love could ever offer, but by Jesus, perfect and exclusive, the only love that reaches every room, the only name that fills the hollow that nothing else could ever touch. Redeemed, completely redeemed by Him. I want to tell you about His perfection, not as theology, not as doctrine on a page, but as the lived experience of being loved without remainder. There is no part of you He finds too much, there is no corner He refuses to enter, there is no version of your story that makes Him look the other way. love that does not need you to be smaller, to be safer, to be easier to love. He is the only love that walks into the fullness of everything you are and says this. All of this is what I came for. And nothing compares, nothing even comes close. There is no substitute, there is no almost. There is only Jesus, and then everything else. Redeemed by the only one who redeemed. Not by silver, not by gold, not by the best that any human love could ever offer, but by Jesus,
perfect and exclusive,
the only love that reaches every room, the only name that fills the hollow that nothing else could ever touch. Redeemed, completely redeemed by Him. I have blotted out as a thick cloud thy transgressions, and as a cloud thy sins return unto me. For I have redeemed thee, and behind those words stands Jesus, who is not one option among many, who is not the best among equals. He is exclusively, uniquely, perfectly the answer to every question, the fill to every empty, the name above every name that was ever spoken. Into the hollow of a human heart, there is no other, there has never been another, there will never be another. Only Jesus, only ever Jesus.
redeemed by the only one who redeemed.
Not by silver, not by gold, not by the best that any human love could ever offer, but by Jesus,
Perfect and exclusive,
the only love that
reaches every room,
the only name that fills the hollow that nothing else could ever touch. Redeemed, completely redeemed by Him.
redeemed by Jesus, only Jesus, perfect Jesus,
Exclusive Jesus, the only one who fit
only Jesus,
the hollow,
perfect Jesus,
redeemed by Him. Only Him. Forever. There is a tenderness in how He handles what is fragile, a gentleness in how He holds the things that almost broke. I have been handled roughly by a world that moves too fast for the delicate and the tender and the quietly undone. But there is one who sees the fragile places not as weakness to be fixed, but as the very places where His tenderness is most at home. And I have felt that tenderness in the most unexpected moments, a quietness that found me in the middle of the falling. Tender mercies, not the mercy of a distant judge. Tender mercies, like a father with his child, who knows the frame, who did not lecture me about the physics of the fall. He just picked me up without a word and held me for a moment longer than the pain required. And I have carried that moment for decades without knowing why, until I understood it was a picture of something infinitely more tender, more patient, more present than even the best of human fathers. And I have felt that tenderness, not just in memory, but in the living in the right now of a love that never rushes past the hurting. Tender mercy of a distant judge, tender mercies like a father with his child, who knows the frame, who knows the dust, who knows exactly how much weight this heart can hold before it needs to be held instead. Tender mercies, Jesus and his tender mercies over me. Like as a father pitieth his children, so the Lord pitieth them that fear him. For he knoweth our frame, he remembereth that we are dust. And in that remembering is not disappointment, not frustration, not the sigh of someone who expected more, but the tenderest, most patient, most unhurried mercy that has ever been offered to a creature made of dust, who keeps on falling and keeps on being picked up by the same gentle hands every single time. Be held instead. Tender mercies, Jesus and his tender mercies over me. Tender mercies every morning, every falling, every rising. Tender mercies, his hands, always his hands, tender, always tender over me. I have tried to produce what only connection produces. Tried to manufacture fruit from a branch that was not attached. I worked so hard at becoming something beautiful, not knowing that the beauty was never mine to make. It was always meant to flow from somewhere deeper than my effort, from a source I could not access by trying harder or wanting more. And the day I understood that was the day everything changed, not because I became better, but because I stopped pretending I was the source. And I leaned into the vine, not as a last resort, but as the only resort that was ever actually real. The vine, He is the true vine, and apart from Him I cannot bear a single thing worth keeping. The vine, Jesus the true vine, the source of everything that lives in me. Without Him I am only wood and wanting wood. I am branches full of fruit I could never grow alone. He is the vine, I am in the vine, I am finally alive. I think about what true means in the phrase the true vine. Not just authentic, not just genuine, but the one real thing of which all others are only shadows. Every love you ever felt was a shadow of this love. Every belonging you ever tasted was a shadow of this belonging. Every life you ever tried to build was a shadow of the life that flows from this one source. And Jesus stands there saying, I am the true one, the real one, the one all you're searching was always pointing toward. Come and be connected, come and be alive, come and bear fruit that actually lasts. And I leaned into the vine, not with performance, not with striving, just with the simple, desperate, beautiful act of staying. The vine, He is the true vine, and apart from Him I cannot bear a single thing worth keeping. The vine, Jesus the true vine, the source of everything that lives in me. Without Him I am only wood and wanting Him. I am branches full of fruit I could never grow alone. He is the vine, I am in the vine, I am finally alive. I am the true vine, He says, and my Father is the husbandman. And every branch in me that beareth fruit, He purgeth it that it may bring forth more fruit. And the purging is not punishment, the pruning is not rejection. It is the most intimate act of a gardener who knows exactly what this branch is capable of when it stays connected to the source of all that is true. The source of everything that lives in me. Without Him I am only wood and wanting with Him. I am branches full of fruit I could never grow alone. He is the vine, I am in the vine, I am finally alive. The vine, Jesus, true vine, connected alive, bearing fruit I could never grow receive gifts that cost the giver nothing, wrapped in the appearance of something meaningful. I have received gifts that were really about the giver, not the given to. But there is one gift that I return to every time I think I understand it, and find I have only just begun to understand it. A gift so staggering, so disproportionate, so completely undeserved, that the only response is silence, and then tears, and then the quiet, overwhelming gratitude of someone who knows they did nothing to deserve what they are holding. And the gift was not a thing, the gift was not a feeling, the gift was a person, given completely, given once and forever.
My gift,
God so loved the world that He gave,
not sent,
not offered, gave His only Son, so that I who believed in nothing worth believing in
might have life.
that does not end. The gift, Jesus, the only gift that
Keeps on giving,
long after everything else has been unwrapped and set aside. The gift, only the gift, only Jesus. I want you to sit with the word only for a moment. His only Son, not one of many, not the most expendable, not the one He could afford to lose. His only, His the loved, His the one in whom I am well pleased. And He gave Him for you, for the particular you, with your particular story, your particular breaking, your particular hollow that nothing else has ever filled. Not for humanity in the abstract, but for you specifically, completely, without reservation. And the gift was not conditional, the gift was not awaiting for you to be worthy. The gift was given while you were still far from worthy, and that is what makes it a gift. God so loved the world that He gave, not sent, not offered, gave His only Son, so that I who believed in nothing worth believing in might have life that does not end. The gift, Jesus, the only gift that keeps on giving, long after everything else has been unwrapped and set aside. The gift, only the gift, only Jesus. For God so loved the world, for words that changed everything. Not God so was not sent from a distance, but came all the way down into the very worst of us, and loved us there, and gave himself there for us, the gift, the only gift that was ever really does not end. The gift, Jesus, the only gift that keeps on giving long after everything else has been unwrapped and set aside. The gift, only the gift, only Jesus. Given completely, given perfectly, Jesus, the gift, Jesus, unwrap it again and again and again, it never runs out. The gift, always the gift. I have seen what years can do to something that was beautiful. The slow and quiet fading of a thing that used to shine. I have felt it in myself, the wearing down of wonder, the gradual forgetting of the person I was made to be. Not through any single breaking, not through any dramatic falling, just the accumulation of 1,000 small surrenders to a life that asked too much and gave too little back. And I had almost made my peace with being less than what I was, until the one who made me came and said, that is not the end of your story. I'm not repaired, restored, brought back to something better than the original. Restored the way that Jesus restores, not patching over broken places, but making something entirely gloriously new. I am restored, being restored by Him. I watched a craftsman once work on a painting that had been damaged by years of neglect and darkness. He did not cover what was broken, he worked into it, patiently layer by layer, bringing back the colors that the damage had obscured. And I thought about the patience of a God who works like that, not erasing what was broken, but finding the original beauty underneath it all, and bringing it back to light. And I stopped being ashamed of the damage and started being in awe of the restorer who chose this pain and chose this life, chose me. Restored, to repair, restored, brought back to something better than the original. Restored, the way that Jesus restores, not patching over broken places, but making something entirely gloriously new. I am restored, being restored by Him. He restores my soul, 3 words, carrying the weight of every life that ever came apart. He restoreth, present tense, ongoing, never finished, never rushed. The same hands that shaped the morning are working on the painting of this life right now, today, finding the colors under the damage, bringing back the light under the shadow, restoring, always restoring what the years and the world and the wearing down tried to take. He restoreth my soul. Restored, now repair, restored, brought back to something better than the original. The way that Jesus restores, not patching over broken places, but making something entirely gloriously new. I am restored, being restored by layer by layer, color by color, restored by Jesus, always being restored by Him. There are names we carry that were given by the world, names that stuck from seasons we would rather not remember, names that came from people who did not know our value, who named us from their damage and called it the truth. I have answered to some names that were never mine to carry, worn them like a garment that never quite fit right. And then I heard a different name spoken from a different place, from a love so far above the ones that made me wrong, and the dramatic,
but because it was so quiet
and so completely sure.
Beloved,
That is what he calls me,
beloved,
before I earned a single thing.
beloved,
Not because of what I've done or who I've managed to become, but because the Father looked at me and chose that word above all other words. Beloved, I am beloved.
I am finally
Beloved. I think about the word behold that comes before the love.
behold.
As if the writer could not just say it plainly, had to stop, had to make you pause, had to insist that you actually see what is being offered here.
Behold,
What manner of love, what kind, what quality, what category of love is this that would take someone like me, someone with my history, my hollows, my half-care promises, and call me not just love, but a child, not just a child, but his. And the name undoes me every single time, not because I deserve it, but because he means it completely, unchangeably, forever.
beloved,
That is what he calls me,
beloved,
before I earned a single thing.
beloved,
Not because of what I've done or who I've managed to become, but because the Father looked at me and chose that word above all other words. Beloved, I am beloved. I am finally. Behold, what manner of love the Father hath bestowed upon
that
me,
we should be called
the sons of God.
admired from a distance,
Not tolerated,
not conditionally accepted,
but called,
named, identified as his own.
and the world may not know us, the world did not know him, but we know what we are called. We know whose we are. We are beloved. We have all.
Always be,
Be will always
always be,
beloved.
beloved,
That is what he calls me,
beloved,
before I earn a single thing.
beloved,
Not because of what I've done or who I've managed to become, but because the Father looked at me and chose that word above all other words. Beloved, I am beloved. I am finally beloved. There is something happening right here, right now, in this moment that I cannot keep to myself. It is not a doctrine, it is not a theology, it is not something I learned in a classroom or read in a book. It is this, the warmth of being completely, unhurriedly, joyfully in the presence of the one who is love itself. And I am here, and he is here, and there is nothing else I need for this moment to be completely whole. And the joy of it does not need a reason. The joy of it just is. The joy of it is him. Evermore, this is what it feels like. Evermore, to be held by love itself. Evermore, the presence of Jesus is not a concept. It is the warmest, most alive, most real thing I have ever known. And I want to live here evermore. Just here, just this, just him evermore. I want to tell you what it feels like from the inside. It feels like being known and loved at the same time, which almost never happens with anyone, but happens here completely. It feels like the room has more light in it than the windows can account for. It feels like breathing all the way down to the very bottom of the breath. It feels like the most honest version of yourself is the most welcome version of yourself. It feels like you could stay here forever, and forever would not be long enough. And the joy of it keeps finding new rooms in me to fill. The joy of it is endless. The joy